We arrived in the Shillong airport just hours later. There was a sense of relief that came with being in such an empty, quiet place. Outside, we were accosted by a taxi driver who convinced us that we should go straight to Shillong. On the way to the city, he told us about the Khasi people, the locals of the area. He said that they believed they came from heaven on a ladder that descended onto a great tree on top of a local mountain. One day the tree fell and the ladder broke, leaving half of the Khasis in heaven and the other half on earth. He said that there is a belief that the Khasis had the special ability to change into a tiger. He asked us if we were Christians. He went on to tell us about the love of Christ and how his ancestors were headhunters and cannibals until the Dutch came and converted a large majority of the people to Christianity. The British came as well, and he said that he is glad that they left and there was much damage done by their occupation on the area. By the time we reached Shillong, it was dark and we wandered through the streets looking for a place to spend the night. Each time we entered a hotel, they either said there was no vacancy or wanted more money than we can afford. I was feeling quite tired and sick. So when a man met us in the street and offered us a room for 600 rupees, we followed him into a dark building that smelled of sewage. The hotel was ironically named Hotel a Shit. The room was about 2 to 3 meters. The bedclothes were dirty, and the shared bathroom was always wet and dirty because the tap for the toilet was leaking onto the floor. The leak was the only flowing water that I can recall. The men managing the front desk seemed unfriendly and somewhat hostile. In the morning, we walked past them sleeping on the benches near the front desk. Later that day, we checked out and headed to the town taxi stand. My head was throbbing and it hurt to move my eyes about in their sockets. We asked a few drivers what the cost would be to go to Nangariat near Sora, and we kept getting quite high prices. Soon we were surrounded by a group of taxi drivers, maybe 10 or 15, trying to bid us into their cars. Even a missionary from the street came over to see what the commotion was about. I began crying. All the men seemed untrustworthy, and they would not stop hassling us to let us make a decision. We ended up going with a driver that had been accosting us since early that morning. He convinced us on the way that we should stay in Sora because the way from the last road to Nongrat was a few hours' hike down many stairs and that we would not find accommodation in Turna. Even if a person warns you of others that might rip you off, do not trust that he himself is not trying to mislead you. Obviously, the driver only wanted a shorter drive, as we later realized. We spent some time walking around Sora, looking for affordable accommodation. Eventually, we found a place called D-Cloud, which offered clean and reasonably priced beds. I spent all day trying to get rid of the pain that followed every movement of my eyes. The aching in my throat crept into a deep, painful cough. The next day we packed up, and I was determined not to get into a taxi again. I was tired of the cunning tricks that were being played on us. There are many things gained by walking. Sore feet are a small price to pay in comparison to the experiences robbed by mechanical transport. As we walked, we were continuously greeted by children and men hoping to practice their English, excited to see a foreigner coming down the street in their village. Children often sit at small tables selling fruit and drinks and tobacco. Usually their mothers are nearby washing their clothes in the stream. We walked from Sora right down to Turna, and from there to the first route bridge. On the route bridge we met some young people from Shillong who were jumping up and down on the bridge and who wanted a picture with us. We all stood smiling together for the photo, but when we tried making conversation afterwards, they were not interested. On the other side of the bridge there was a small path that looked rarely used. George thought the path must lead to Nongariat via a shortcut. We climbed the steep path until we reached a crest, and we both realized we were not heading in the correct direction. I went ahead for some time until I found a great rubber tree with a hollow trunk full of grapefruit. At this point, the trail became just a small line in the thick jungle undergrowth. When I got back to George, we laid down on the ground and resigned to a night on the jungle floor. Soon we were overcome by mosquitoes, and we feared that we should contract some illness from their bites. With the little strength we had left, we went back down the steep track, across the root bridge, and followed the actual path to Nongriat. in the dark until we found a small cement house with a few people sitting around inside. We asked if they had accommodation for us, and we quickly went to sleep in a small wooden hut, happy to have a real bed for the evening. The next day we realized what a toll our journey had taken on our bodies. We could barely walk from the immense pain in our legs. The several-kilometer walk from Sora to Turna, coupled with a short cut to the grapefruit pile and some 1,500 stairs to Nongriat, had left us so sore that we hobbled around for the next 4 days like elderly people. In addition, the pain behind my eyes had turned into a terrible sinus infection that soon spread to George and went on to infect our lungs as well. We were miserable health-wise, but we had made it to a safe haven within the jungle, where we could recover from the recent shock of Kolkata. We alternated between long slumbers and sitting around in the cafe that our hosts ran in their home. As we sat around waiting to recover, we got to know two men from Kerala, our lovely Khasis host and a girl from Germany. Each day we watched tourists make the long trek to the double-decker route bridge and sometimes beyond to the Rainbow Falls. Each day we watched our sweet Khasis host patiently cook for tourists that demanded their food to be cooked faster. Sometimes I would play my whistle, and soon there were many pieces of bamboo with 7 holes burnt into them. The whistle had prompted a flute madness within the group of our new friends, and it was difficult to create a bansuri with proper tuning. I was handed one flute after another in order to test the homemade designs. I was enthralled by the trend that was spreading. Each evening we passed around various bamboo segments trying to create pleasant sounds from the flutes. Each day our friend from Kerala would reveal to us his thoughts about the world, especially concerning tourists and India. It was interesting to see this man, who often would accumulate a small group of people about him as he spoke controversially of many important topics. He addressed many of the doubtful beliefs I had been forming within my own faith. Often people looked on him as if he were a sort of guru or teacher. He was not kind in the way he said things. He often insulted many beliefs held by the people that he was speaking to, but somehow his words could not be denied, even when they were painfully piercing. In the world I feel a sense of truth and mistruth. When some things are spoken of, I hear them like the proper tuning of an instrument. They ring true in my ears. Here there are people that want your picture but do not want to know you. In the tourist areas, trash is everywhere. The Khasi people carry up refrigerators, giant amps, boxes of coke, bottled water, and bags of junk food, all on their backs held on by straps across their foreheads. The father of our host is 80, I believe, and he still carries these loads from Turno. The muscles in his neck are as strong as the roots that make the bridges here. They are all small people, not usually taller than George and I. They are happy, and their villages are full of playful children. The tourists have not been coming here for very long, and I wish I could understand their language enough to hear the children tell the stories of their lives here in the village, where so many tourists walk past each day. In the houses of the villagers, most space is designated to visitors, either a makeshift cafe or homestay. Someone told me that the double-decker route bridge was going to be cut down because it was worth more in rubber than it was as a bridge. Supposedly, at the time, some tourists from Japan came to visit and explained how remarkable the bridge was, and soon after it became a popular destination, globally and locally. I'm not sure if this story is true, but it is interesting to me. Now the villagers make their money catering to the needs and wants of the many visitors. One day we were walking with one of the men from Kerala and our friend from Germany when we began speaking about homosexual and transgender people. The man from Kerala was shocked when I told him that some people are born with both a penis and a vagina, although neither are fully functional in most cases. He considered himself a Christian and professed great faith despite the jokes he may have made about religion. He was told one day that a man who believes in God does so because of his own weakness. I think this is why he ended up not speaking with the group. He also said that there are Western women who come to India just looking for sex. He said that it is apparent and it makes Indian men think that all women from the West are in search of sex. He was inflexible in his beliefs, and obviously the words of the other man from Kerala had been provoking him.